Big story coming in from Gaza. Israeli Defense Forces say that the IDF has eliminated Yahya Sinwar, the chief of the Hamas terrorist organization and the mastermind of the October 7 terror strike on Israel last year. They're saying 3 terrorists have been killed. They're confident one of the 3 is Yahya Sinwar. He was apparently, the information that's filtering out of Israel seems to indicate that he was ferreted out of a tunnel in the Gaza Strip and neutralized. The facial and dental records match according to reports that are emanating from Israel. Israeli media reports say that facial records and dental records match. It's only the DNA match that is still awaited for that final confirmation. Now, Yahya Sinwar was in an Israeli prison for over 20 years and Israel has all his records. The confirmation is expected anytime now. This man, Yahya Sinwar, the man you see on your television screen, was the mastermind of the worst terrorist attack on Israel on the 7th of October in 2023. 1,200 Israelis were killed, 250 abducted, when 3,000 Hamas terrorists invaded Israel and carried out a massacre. We get you details on this special broadcast. Also coming up on India First, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau exposed, and India has hit back at Justin Trudeau, saying he himself has admitted there was no evidence that was shared with India. India's exact words, not a shred of evidence has been shared since last year. But the bigger question we're asking on this special broadcast, what should one make of the pressure or the statement that's coming from the Five Eyes countries? Why are they mounting pressure on India? Why are they standing with Canada when there are no facts that Justin Trudeau has presented? And these are questions that the United States, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, they need to answer. I'm Gaurav Sawant. We get you all details. As always, let's get started with the headlines on India First. To Uttar Pradesh, rights accused shot at in an encounter near the Nepal border. 5 arrested. National Security Act slapped against the accused. Opposition accuses the Yogi Adityanath government of encounter raj. Nayaab Singh Saini takes oath as the Chief Minister of Haryana for a second term. NDA ministers hold a mega show of strength in Chandigarh. Mahavikas Aghadi kicks off seat-sharing talks in Mumbai. Sources say Congress may get 15 seats. Uddhav Sena may bag 18. Bomb threats to Indian Airlines mount. Aviation Minister promises strict action. Sources say hoax callers' IP address traced to London and Germany. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif speaks to India today. Calls External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar's SCO visit a start. Bats for India and Pakistan talks. Nawaz Sharif says he will invite Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I want to return to our top story on this special broadcast, and that is Israeli Defense Forces, their second strike and a major strike that's been carried out in Gaza, where IDF have all but confirmed that Yahya Sinwar has been killed. Israel says that the October 7 mastermind, Yahya Sinwar, is perhaps one of the 3 terrorists who were killed in this strike. And this apparently wasn't just an airstrike. These are air and ground operations, because pictures that are going absolutely viral in Israel show Israeli ground forces, their commandos, their special forces, right next to a body that Israeli media says is of Yahya Sinwar. Israel claims Yahya Sinwar was killed in operations that have been ongoing in the Gaza Strip. Israel says Sinwar among 3 terrorists killed, and they're carrying out DNA tests just to confirm that this is indeed Yahya Sinwar who's been killed. The Israeli police and the IDF made a joint statement. They said they're only waiting for a DNA report. But there's been a statement, a very cryptic one from Yoav Gallant, the defense minister of Israel, on a social media platform. There have also been statements from several experts. The Israeli media says that a facial match is affirmative, a dental match is affirmative. Now they're only waiting for the DNA test to match for an official announcement to be made, which could be made anytime now. So 7th of October 2023, Israel was caught off guard. The worst terror attack in Israel's history, in which 1,200 Israeli citizens were massacred, 250 abducted. But ever since, Mossad, Shin Bet, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli police, they've carried out a series of operations on either side, against Hamas in the south, against Hezbollah in the north. And whether these are operations in Gaza or in Beirut, in Lebanon, they've killed some of the top terrorists on their list. So let's begin with some of these top terrorists who've been eliminated. Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah chief, he's been eliminated in a multiple air, rocket and missile attack that took place in Yahya. Hashim Saifuddin, now Nasrallah's successor, he too has been killed. Ismail Haniyeh. So let me now just switch across from Hezbollah to Hamas. Ismail Haniyeh was killed in Tehran, in Iran, the political chief of the Hamas terrorist organization, in a mysterious blast that Israel has never taken responsibility for. Mohammad Daif, and that's a very strong statement that was made by Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, when Mohammad Daif was killed, Hamas military chief, where he said, a clear warning now goes out to Yahya Sinwar. There is no tunnel deep enough where he will not be ferreted out from and meet the same fate as Mohammad Daif. And Yahya Sinwar, the last surviving top commander of the Hamas terrorist organization, has also been neutralized. So we've got you some of these top commanders, but the list is extremely long. And on India Today, I have that entire list from Hassan Nasrallah to Ibrahim Akil to Fuad Shukran. I want to bring in India Today's Shiv Arur for more on the story. Shiv, is there a final confirmation now? Because this would be a body blow both to Hamas and to the Hezbollah, the way Israel has gone after both the terrorist organizations that were targeting its citizens.
Gaurav, with the killing of Yahya Sinwar, what the IDF has basically achieved is to eliminate the last of the Hamas leadership. Now, there are probably some mid-rung level, operatives left of the group in Gaza. But the widespread devastation means that most of them are probably dead. And Yahya Sinwar was literally the last man standing, whether it was, the guest, Mohammad Daif, Ismail Haniyeh, who was killed in Tehran a few months ago,
yes,
to several other leaders in Gaza and elsewhere who had already been eliminated. Yahya Sinwar was, remained elusive. There were reports for a long time that, he was, with some of the remaining Israeli hostages, making use of some intact parts of the tunnel systems to evade attack. But the fact that they finally were able to get him means that the IDF clearly wasn't taking its eye off the ball as far as trying to get to Yahya Sinwar. Yahya Sinwar, remember, took over as the chief of Hamas after the killing of Ismail Haniyeh.
Yes.
He's a person who has been very hands-on, unlike the vodka and caviar leadership like Ismail Haniyeh, who was living a VIP life abroad between Qatar and Iran. Ismail Haniyeh was actually a soldier. He was on the ground commanding the Hamas, a man who in many ways was part of the orchestration of the terrorist strike on October 7th last year on Israel. So he was in many ways an even higher value target than some of the others we've named as part of the Hamas leadership. And that's one of the reasons also because he was based in Gaza, he was able to elude what we've seen over the last 1 year as overwhelming force shown by Israel in Gaza. We've seen nearly 50,000 people killed, many thousands of them children, a true humanitarian crisis that has, emerged over there. Hundreds of thousands of people, over 2 million completely displaced. All of the cities, Khan Yunis, Gaza City, Jebela, etc., almost completely destroyed. And therefore, this was going to be a very, very difficult mission. But finally, the IDF has confirmed that Yahya Sinwar is no more. I imagine that someone from the middle rungs will step up and take over the leadership of the Hamas, because that's been the way things have happened in the past as well. But this time, it's going to be much more difficult.
Let me also quickly bring into this conversation Professor Brahma Chilani, one of India's most well-respected strategic affairs analysts, who joins me on this broadcast. Professor Chilani, what do you make of this information about this entire list of top leaders? They appear to be eliminated: Mohammad Daif, Ismail Haniyeh, Saleh Al-Aruri, and now Yahya Sinwar. Now, if it's finally confirmed with the DNA match, if it indeed is Yahya Sinwar who's been killed, what does it mean for Hamas as a terrorist organization in Gaza?
Well, if confirmed, Yahya Sinwar's elimination would be a major blow for Hamas and a big success for Israel. The problem for Israel is this, that more than a year after it began this war against Hamas, the Israeli military acknowledges that Hamas resistance still continues, that Hamas is still able to recruit new fighters in Gaza, and the Israeli army chief says that fully eliminating Hamas is not a realistic military objective. So Israel's political leadership faces a dilemma, because the Prime Minister has vowed to wipe out Hamas, but the military says that goal is not feasible. Now, compared to Hamas, the Hezbollah is a more potent militia organization. So today, Israel is fighting on two different fronts, in southern Lebanon and also in Gaza. So eliminating Hamas commanders, eliminating Hezbollah commanders, all are major tactical successes. But what Israel needs is strategic success, long-term success, enduring success. And that is what has eluded Israel for so long. Its neighborhood has gone from bad to worse. And in a sense, what Israel is today facing, the threats it faces and the wars it's waging are not against state actors. These wars are against non-state actors that have grown very powerful because of support from Iran, and also because of grassroots support in Gaza and in southern Lebanon for these militia organizations.
But is Israel's strategy in 2024 different from Israel's strategy in 2006 when it last went into southern Lebanon? For example, this time it began with those pager attacks, though not officially confirmed that it was Mossad, but the pager attacks, the walkie-talkie attacks, taking out the entire top leadership of the Hezbollah, from Hassan Nasrallah to Ibrahim Akil to Fuad Shukr to Ali Karaki to Wasim Al-Tawil to Abu Hassan Samir to Talib Sami Abdullah to Muhammad Nasir Abdullah to Ibrahim Kaibasi. If you see, the top 12 leaders of Hezbollah have also been eliminated. The tactical level leadership is eliminated. Is Israel operating differently this time?
Well, I think Israel has clearly two advantages. It's regionally the preeminent military power, and it has the advantage of technology and intelligence over all the Arab states in its neighborhood. So it's using those advantages in a way that are quite conspicuous. For example, in this particular fight, it has gone after the leadership of Hamas, and now after Hezbollah, and today's news about Yahya Sinwar's elimination is also indicative of the fact that Israel is now waging a strategy that focuses on eliminating command and control of these non-state actors. However, the issue that Israel faces is how to ensure that these militia organizations after losing their top leadership, are not able to regroup with new leadership. For example, when Israel eliminated the Hamas political chief in Tehran, Iran,
Yes,
through an assassination, which was very cleverly planned, Hamas took only a few days to replace that slain political chief. So
yes.
Hamas has its capacity, the resilience to continue the fight, and Hezbollah too is going to show that same resilience because it has external support. That's
So
where.
does this mean that Israel will have to go after Iran and ensure that replenishment of those rockets and missiles don't happen either to Hamas or to the Hezbollah? And we'll track that story very closely. Professor Chilani, stay on with me because I now want to shift focus to the other big story, and that is Justin Trudeau caught in a web of his own lies. After firing back-to-back allegations against India on the Khalistani terrorist Nijjar's murder, Canada's Prime Minister, he actually admitted that no proof had been shared with India, merely intelligence-based allegations had been leveled. He murdered diplomatic ties with India only on the basis of intelligence inputs he got. In a sharply worded response, the Ministry of External Affairs in India slammed Justice Trudeau for spoiling the ties between the two nations and not sharing a shred of evidence, as the MEA spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal put it. Take a look.
It's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging. It's, no, tell us what you know. Show us the evidence. And at that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof.
Massive embarrassment for Canada. Trudeau, who has time and again blamed India for Khalistani terrorist Nijjar's murder, has admitted that he never really had any proof.
Last week at the G20.
All this while, he was just pointing fingers at India on merely the intel that he got without having any solid evidence on India's role.
Work behind the scenes to try and get India to cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging. It's, no, tell us what you know. Show us the evidence. And at that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof.
Trudeau, who has launched a full-scale tirade against India, found himself facing a massive loss of face after the big admission. In a sharply worded statement, a vindicated India called out Trudeau's falsehood. India said the Canadian Prime Minister has been misleading since the very beginning, thereby jeopardizing ties with India.
We have a large Indian diaspora in Canada, which is the bridge through which we maintain very strong people-to-people links with Canada. We hope, this particular crisis has been precipitated by Trudeau government's baseless allegations.
At the end of last week, I highlighted...
Trudeau, however, continued targeting India, saying he could have made G20 summit very uncomfortable for Prime Minister Modi by speaking about the claims out in open, in front of the world leaders.
As we approached the end of August and September, the big thing that was happening was India was itself hosting the leader of the summit of the advanced economies of the world, the G20. So it was a big moment for India, welcoming the world, all the leaders of the world to Delhi for a very important summit. And we had the opportunity of making it a very uncomfortable summit for India if we went public with these allegations ahead of time. We chose not to.
Trudeau, who's accused of winning 2 polls with Chinese interference, is facing heat back home too, with growing calls for his removal from within his party. Trudeau's conservative rival, Pierre Poilievre, asked him to come clean on his China link. Trudeau's admissions, however, give credence to India's charge that he's deliberately smearing India for gains in upcoming Canada polls. Bureau Report, India Today.
Professor Brahma Chilani stays with me. Daniel Boardman is senior correspondent of the National Telegraph, who joins us live from Canada. Daniel, what's the word in Canada after India very strongly called out Justin Trudeau, saying not a shred of evidence has been shared in the past 1 year. What's the buzz on ground?
So first, I'd like to say it is incredibly refreshing to be on a television news network that refers to Hamas and Hezbollah as terrorist organizations instead of humanitarian outfits fighting for social justice. So I commend you on the previous segment. Now, in terms of what Canada is thinking, you have to remember there's like crazy time difference here. We're 10 and a half hours behind. So I like to say, India, you are in the future technically, but you're actually kind of in the past. We are about 2.5 Trudeau scandals ahead of you right now. So the word in Canada, okay, India, Canada, Trudeau burned our relationship with India. That was Tuesday. We are now on Thursday. And the Thursday scandal is, we're going back to the fact that there's 11 traitors that our security agencies have identified sitting in Parliament right now. That's the problem. And what Trudeau tried to do a lot on India, there was a lot of things, but one of the things he obviously tried to do politically was a rally to the flag movement. And you had a bit of that. The Conservative Party has to back him. When the RCMP comes out with these allegations, like all parties who sit in government have to come and rally to the flag. Yes. Now, Justin Trudeau's inability to maintain a united patriotic front for more than 15 seconds came to the forefront, because then he immediately used the foreign interference hearing, which is trying to figure out what the extent of infiltration into his government is, tried to use that as a means to slap Pierre Poilievre and accuse him of being involved in foreign interference, even though he's not in power. And then this blew up in his face. So that's where the country of Canada is right now. Canadians are talking about this and the internal party revolt. The scandal with India is sort of like we're one scandal ahead. Yahya Sinwar has just died. So
has it boomeranged on him? Has it boomeranged? Has attacking India boomeranged on Justin Trudeau, especially given India's extremely strong response and expelling 6 Canadian diplomats and recalling all of us, 6 of us?
Yes, it has, but his support is already at minimum, right? It even before the scandal, it was left to just like the cult of personality hardcore. Again, the Liberal Party is like the default party of Canada. We have a first past the post system. All things equal, if there were just blocks of wood running for each party, the Liberals would win every time. They're currently projected to be 4th place. 4th. So Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party, the NDP too, are political corpses walking. Okay? So can you Schrodinger's Trudeau, like can it get worse for him? Like, yeah, it boomeranged in his face, and everyone who hates Trudeau kind of took the Indian side in this and is on Twitter making fun of him, and this is just another reason to hate him. If you're in the cult of personality, you only watch like the media that is hyper Trudeau friendly. The Indian narrative has not penetrated that, so they're still
soon enough. Facts have a way of reaching the darkest corner in Canada. But Daniel, stay with me for a moment. I want to bring in Professor Brahma Chilani for a moment, because Professor Chilani, I want to understand, the world knows the truth. Why would countries like the United States, United Kingdom, New Zealand and Australia, to an extent, but not as much, why would they stand with Trudeau when they know Canada is very, very weak on facts, is on a sticky wicket?
As far as Trudeau is concerned, he's on his last legs politically. He's facing a revolt within his Liberal Party to resign. But even if he resigns and there is new leadership in Canada, the problem for India will remain, because almost 4 decades after the twin Air India flight bombings by Canadian Sikh terrorists, India faces the challenge of Canada, the US, and Britain. These 3 countries are sheltering and shielding Khalistani militants who are openly glorifying terrorism against India. So this problem that India confronts is a problem that requires proactive diplomacy. It requires putting in the public domain India's concerns, spotlighting the fact that the Air India twin bombings of 1985 remain a concern for India, because the very developments that preceded those Air India twin bombings, similar developments are unfolding today in Canada, in the US and Britain, causing deep disquiet to India. For example, India has not even spoken about those 2 bombings of Air India flights. India should be talking about those Air India bombings because they killed 331 people. As far as one bombing was concerned, it misfired, killing 2 baggage handlers in Tokyo airport.
Japan,
but the other
yes.
bombing killed all 329 people on board. And we should be spotlighting this record of Canada.
And it was the same Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, at the helm of affairs that time. And unfortunately, Canada did nothing. You're absolutely right. And Daniel, in India today, we continue to highlight these stories. But I want to understand from you, Khalistanis appear to be fighting Khalistanis in Canada. They appear to be creating law and order problems within Canada, and yet no crackdown. Isn't it unsafe for Canadians with these Khalistani terrorists and criminals operating freely in your country?
Oh, it's incredibly dangerous and unsafe. And, one of the things I said a year ago is, okay, if we're going to set the precedent that the most important Canadians for our safety, because we didn't really care about the safety of the Canadians, shot down on the PS-752 airliner by the IRGC in Iran, they can all die and we'll just bow down to the people who did it. But if we're saying that Khalistani gangster quasi-terrorists are the most important Canadians in the world and we must protect them at all costs, well, what's the biggest threat to a Khalistani gangster terrorist? Another Khalistani gangster terrorist. So all roads lead back to we should probably do something about the Khalistani gangster terrorist problem. And this is sort of the social breakdown you've seen of Canada, and it's really exacerbated over the last year post-October 7th. But we live in a country where, yes, we claim to have law and order, but it's very clearly a two-tiered justice system, or a multi-tiered, maybe you want to say it. Let's be honest. You can threaten to kill, as long as you are not speaking English, you can threaten to kill whoever you want in this country because we're too lazy to click the translate button. So if you're doing it in Punjabi, in Hindi, in Arabic, and whatever, you can threaten to kill whoever you want. If you want to threaten to kill someone in English, you can threaten to kill Hindus, Jews, Christians.
What a
You can
shame.
probably pick whites and men, but yes, you can, churches are being burned. We're a Christian country, and over 100 churches have been vandalized or burned down. Synagogues are being shot at. Jewish day schools on Yom Kippur.
Yes.
Drive-by shootings happen there. And, of course, Hindu temples are vandalized.
And that's Canada for you. That's Canada for you. It's so unfortunate under Justin Trudeau's watch. I've unfortunately run out of time on this part of the show. But Daniel and Professor Chilani, it's always awesome having both of you on India First.